Hello, my little lovebirds, and hello, all of my Habibis and my Habibtis out there. TonyaTko here, and today my heart is feeling particularly heavy. Before we go into the video, we're going to be we're doing a follow-up to the video I did about a week or two ago about when bad karma comes back around to you. And the video is actually doing very well, more than 12,000 hits to date, and people are still passing it around. There was some very deep messages in there that had people reflecting. And after visiting the old folks home yesterday, last night and this morning, I'm still reflecting, and I'm not sure if any of you noticed it, but whenever I have a particularly heavy topic that I talk about, I always cover my head, either with a hat or with my gele. And today it's a little warm, and I wanted to cover my head, but still have on bright colors and be airy enough for the breeze to get through. So I'll tell you guys a little bit more about my look and where I got these, and even maybe how to do it at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into this video, I wanted you guys to congratulate me and give me a round of applause. Everyone, congratulate me. Remember, I talked to you guys about wanting to get rid of my dark circles and doing a detox. So today I'm doing a completely concealer-free day, and my dark circles are vanishing. And I will, we talked about this in the last video. Instead of making these videos super long, I'm going to talk about that in particular, how to get rid of your dark circles, in another video. I'm going to publish that on my TonyaTko skin channel and add it as a video response to this video underneath it, so you can get my how-to and the tips of how I did that. But it does involve some cleansing, and some other things. I'll talk to you guys about that. My vitamin E, the pumpkin mask, and the complexion polish, and I'll tell you guys exactly step by step how I did that, because I've been doing this for about 2 weeks. And after about 2 weeks, because you guys remember when I did that video about self-esteem and I had my dark circles, etc., and that's one thing that I'm really self-conscious about. So I set out to get rid of those, and it's working. So I'm really happy about that. And so we'll talk about that in its own video, so I could dedicate the full time to it without this being a 35-minute video. So let's get into the heart of today's topic. I tried to take some notes, but there's really no way to take notes about what it is that I have on my heart, and on my mind and soul. And when I'm feeling particularly reflective or connected to my inner self, I like to wear this crystal over my third eye, and I don't know if it does anything, but it makes me feel more connected with who I am on the inside. I haven't done much research about third eyes and all that other stuff, but I know what it does for me, and I'll probably do some research and find out if, whatnot. If there's any, merit to it, I don't know, but I know what it does for me, even without the research. But listen, okay. This is a trilogy here. A trilogy. Remember when I did that video? I remember it must have been last year, because I've only been in the TKO Skin Loft for a year. This will, at the end of this year, will make 2 years, so a year and a half. Last year I did that video, Will a Caucasian Male Protect Me? That was the first part of this, because I was hanging out with an associate of mine who was very rude and very disrespectful to me, and I left that union. I'd been thinking about him a lot, and so I contacted him. His number was disconnected, but I got a forwarded number to a colleague of his who told me that he was in an old folks home, and he's not that old. But if you look at my last video, you'll see why. Because he has nobody. Right? And part of the reason that he has nobody is what this video is about, and what my last video about karma was about. And a lot of people came to me confessing, after I did that last video, a lot of people came to me confessing some of the wrongs that they felt that they had done to people. And you know what? And listen, I love you guys, and I know we're not perfect. I know. But our lives are a culmination of all that we deposit and all that we withdraw. Listen, oh, listen to me. I went to visit my colleague. I had not been able to get there before yesterday, but it was heavy on my mind, and I contacted his friend again to let him know that I would be going, and he said, that's good because, he wants to keep a constant flux of people coming in and out so that he's never there alone and lonely. So I was like, okay, so he has people who are coming. So I was like very happy to hear that. And even though he had not been stellar to me on our last visit with one another, he was somebody that I did enjoy, and we did have good times together. So judging by the bulk of what it is that he did in our friendship, I decided that I would go visit him, even though he was not that great to me the last time I saw him. Okay. This weekend, for those of you who are not on my Instagram, come to my Instagram because I'm putting up a lot. I put up pictures over there a lot, and you get a more connected, closer, in-depth connection to me off of YouTube, even off of Facebook, because most of the pictures that I publish on there don't make it to Facebook. So my Instagram is at TonyaTko, and that's Tonya, yes, with an O, not Tanya, Tonya. Okay. So this weekend, I went to Dorney Park with my family, and we had a really good time. I drove out there, and I drove back, and on the way back, he was on my mind, and I said, you know what, I know I work during the weeks, and the visiting hours are, kind of limited, so I would go yesterday. Even though I had a long drive, I decided to go as I was. And the ironic part about it is the last time I saw him, remember, he was calling me fat and saying that I didn't look good, etc., just being verbally abusive. And he was hoping that he could be psychologically abusive, but I am waterproof. Those things, they don't break in through my cipher, baby. No, it doesn't. So he thought that he could abuse me and take me down a few notches with his quote-unquote emotional abuse, but the only thing that he was doing was creating his karmic debt. Listen, and I went to visit him, and the ironic part about it is that I have not lost any weight since the last time he saw me. I've lost no weight, but here I am in all my fat and splendid glory going to visit him in his old folks home, and I did not care at that point what it was that he thought of me, fat and all. So I went into the place. I went to his room, and his room, look, first of all, and you know what, I'm going to talk a little bit about the race factor of this at the end of the video. I went to go visit him, and security is not as tight as I thought that it would be, and there's a reason for that. So I went to his room, and his room looked like a hospital room. Like, when you go to the hospital with the hospital bed, there were 2 beds in the room, and they're just the white sheets, the white walls, etc. Not even like an insane asylum, and we're going to talk about some of that, like the insane asylums you see on TV, not even like that. So I went to his room, and his room was bare, and he was not there. They wouldn't tell me over the phone whether or not he was at this location. They changed him from Manhattan out to this place in Riverdale in the Bronx. Another bit of irony. So I went to the nurse's station, and the nurse was like, oh, check the TV room. So I go to the TV room, and I'm not exactly sure why they call it a TV room, because the TV was not on. And all of the people were pulled up in their wheelchairs in a semicircle, and everyone in there looked so sad. There was someone in the kitchen area who was screaming out, ah, ah, she was just screaming out this. It was so just like clockwork, just screaming out these noises, not screams of pain, just, I don't know if it was agony, but they were just outbursts of sounds. So I was in the TV room, and I'm looking and looking and looking, and I'm looking for my associate. And and since I'm visiting him, I decided to call him a friend. But in all honesty, we were not friends. We were associates. And some of you out there, you got to be careful with who you call friends. I don't call just any and everybody a quote-unquote friend. There's acquaintance, there's associates, there are colleagues, and there are friends. I don't have frenemies. I don't keep that in my circle. So anyway, I'm looking around and I saw somebody, like at first glimpse, this person looked like him, and I was like, oh wow, that's, then I was like, no, that's not him, because this person is far too old to be him. So I'm walking all around looking in the faces of everyone, and the people are, they're slumped down, some of them are zoned out, some of them are drooling. And so I go and someone approaches me, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking for such and such. And they're like, oh, I work here, but not in this area. Talk to one of them, right? So I talked to one of the women, and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for, you know, such and such. And they're like, that's him right there. And I'm like, and I look, the same person that I had the glimmering glimpse that was him. I looked, and I was like, number one, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, how much he'd aged in 2 years. He was completely, everything white, or beard, and he had this huge beard. He looked like Sigmund Freud. Huge beard. He was sallow and sunken, and he was emaciated. He looked like a prisoner of Auschwitz. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but he looked like someone from a Nazi camp. And I just was like, I was in awe. I saw him and my heart broke. So I tilted over, and he saw my face, and he was like, oh, Tonya. And I was like, okay, so he recognizes me. And I went to give him a hug on his frail shoulders, and he was like, I'm so cold. It's so GD cold in here. And I was like, wow, you know, I was like, let me get a blanket for you. So I'm walking around looking for a blanket, and they're like, no, there's no blanket and such like that. They like, go to his room, and you know, you can probably find he probably has a jacket here. So I wheel him around to his room, and we get to his, I wheel him, we get to his room. He has a jean jacket in there, and maybe 2 shirts and a pair of pants. I put the jacket on him. He's also happy. We roll back out. Excuse me. And, sorry, my stomach is empty. And we roll back out, and the nurses at the station were like, oh, are you his companion? And I'm like, I don't even like the way that, I'm like, no, I'm his friend, right? And they were like, oh, no, first they were like, are you his girlfriend? They said his girlfriend was coming to shave him, and they're like, are you his companion? No, I'm his friend. Are you his girlfriend? No. And they were like, because he said his girlfriend was coming to shave him because he wouldn't let the people shave him, etc. And they were like, and I was like, no, I'm his friend, you know, I came to visit him, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, okay. And they kept asking if I was his companion. And I'm going to tell you why later. So, so they're telling me that the man doesn't eat, that he got dropped off there on Wednesday, and nobody has been there to see him. No one. That they dropped him off there, left him there. He had no clothes, no nothing. They said he was walking around. He was there with no clothes, and he was like, and they were like, he won't eat, he won't talk to anybody. That when they saw him with me, was the first time that they saw him talking, and the man was lucid, and the man was clear, and the man was joking, and the man was talking, and we were, and it was like, you know, like he wasn't really there except just the physical look of him. So I'm like, wow, okay, well, you know, I'm like, let's go outside. I'm like, you know, well, I'm gonna, you know, can I take him outside? And they were like, the question just seemed ridiculous to them. Like, of course, you know, I didn't sign him out, nothing. Didn't sign my name, nothing. And I signed at the gate. I not signed, they took my license at the gate. But once I got into the building, it was like, you know, anyway, so they were like, you know, please try to make sure that he eats, blah, blah, blah. So we go outside, I wheel him outside, and we get out to like this lawn area. And my God, this place is beautiful. It's overlooking the Hudson, so it's up on a hill. Whoever picked out the real estate for this property was genius, because it was on the top of a hill. It had well manicured lawn, and then down at the bottom, overlooking the Hudson with all these boats. And he had a boat. And you know, which was particularly ironic that now he's in this place looking at other people boating while he's trapped in this place, and over is just lush plush greens and trees, and it was nice. And we sat down on a bench, and you know, he's Caucasian, so you know, you have to be concerned about sunscreen and stuff like that, so I didn't want to stay out in the sun too long. But we were out there and we were talking, and about midway through our conversation, it just started getting a little bit odd. Like, the stuff he was saying just really didn't start making any sense. And I'm sorry, okay, listen, okay. So we're on this hill, and we're talking about the boats and boating and about life and all this other stuff. And then he was saying some stuff that would seemed a bit odd, like Illuminati type stuff. Like, he started telling me about the keepers and how, my keepers, and I have to report back to my keepers, me saying I have to report back to my keepers, etc. And I was like, didn't really understand what he was saying. And he was saying that. Then he started talking about black people. He was saying that wherever he goes, it's always 50-50. 50% of one, 50% of the other. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And, you know, he started talking to me. Now, me personally, I have conversations with children. That's the type of person that I am. Even though children, to some people, they may sound like they're talking gibberish or whatever, you know, I really converse with children and try to figure out where they're coming from and what it is that they're saying. And you'd be surprised if you sat down and had a conversation with a child, you'd be surprised what it may be that you may learn. You know, we are all at different stages of our evolution, and unfortunately children are born into these little tiny bodies and their minds are not fully cohesive yet, but you can find out a lot of very deep things from children. So I talk to children, and so he's telling me about these keepers and about 50-50. And so, you know, we were talking, and I was like, wow, you know, that's really interesting. 50% on one side, 50% on the other, and sometimes they meet in the middle. So I was telling him maybe it's 33, 33, 33, because we saw a boat, then we saw a plane. He said, you see what I mean? 50 and 50. And I'm like, then I heard a train. And I'm like, actually, you know, that fits more in the line of the 33, 33, 33, because we have air, we have land, and we have sea. So the train, the boat, and the airplanes. This is the conversation we were having. So he started to say he was feeling dizzy from the sun. So we wheeled underneath the gazebo, and that's when things really started going bizarre. And he was like just talking about all this stuff that just did not really make any cohesive sense. And I was like, okay, so he was kind of zoning out on me, and he started to get angry. He started to get a little frustrated, and oh gosh, how do I go on from here? He started getting frustrated, and so I was like, okay. He said he wanted to go back to the room, but it was about dinner time, so it was time for us to eat. We get to the dinner table, and it's just, gosh, if you've never visited a home for the elderly, please do go and visit. And I just started looking around, and I was like, my father will never be in a place like this if I have anything to do with it, ever. I mean, the nurses and everything were very kind. Some of them, you know, were very, very kind. Nobody there seemed violent or neglectful, but they did seem like they're just used to the antics, you know, the screaming, the talking, craziness, and like, for example, I took a picture of he and I, because I really don't know how much longer he'll be around anyway. So I took a picture, and he was like, yes. So now you could take the picture back to your keepers and let them know that you had contact with me. And I was like, hmm? And he was like, let's not play any games. I'm not naive. You're keepers. And I was asking him more about these keepers and who these keepers were and how does a person know whether they have keepers. And he's like, all you have to do is just look. So I'm thinking maybe he's talking about something deep. Maybe there are some, you know, spirits or something out there that keep us. I don't know. You know, so I'm talking with him. I'm like, how do you recognize a keeper? And he's like, some of them are family members, some of them. And he just started going off onto different tangents. And maybe there was something in there. I mean, I still listened. I don't know. But when we got to the dinner table, he didn't want to eat. And he started getting very angry. And then he forgot who I was and said the only reason why you're here is because you're getting paid and all this other stuff. And he just started being really nasty, saying that I'm an idiot. And he was saying, come on, you're not that. He was like, come on, you're not that stupid. You know exactly. And then looking at him and listening to him, I realized something. This was not unfamiliar to me. And I started thinking about the transgression, the regression, the progression, however you want to put it, of our friendship, associateship. And he was nasty to me when we were quote unquote friends. He was nasty to me when we were in communique with one another. He would say these belittling things just like that. Oh, come on, you're not that stupid. Or are you that stupid? Are you that idiotic? And I would have to correct him each and every time because, baby, no, that don't fly over here. No, no. And that was part of the reason that I limited my contact with him. And then when we met up and he said those horrible, nasty things about me and how he always had horrible, nasty things to say about his ex-wife and other people in his family and all this other stuff, I realized this is him. This is just him. And I looked around at the rest of the people in there and the different stages in which they were in their mental comprehension or their mental faculties, and I started realizing this is it. These people, I read once that we are like twice a child, once an adult, and no, that is not the case. Because children are happy and children are jolly and they're skipping around and they are talking foolishness, but they're talking foolishness with a smile and they're vibrant and they're happy to be alive. But these people were talking foolishness and they were miserable. 1. Some of them were angry. 2. Some of them were confused. 3. Some of them were belligerent, nasty, hostile. Some of them were helpless. But a lot of them were going over and over in their mind, rotating around on these demons that were haunting them. It was almost demonic in there. It was unbelievable. I'd never seen such a cluster of upset people. I've never seen such a cluster of people plagued by old hard memories. I've never seen such a cluster of people gathered together who were hurting, who were dissatisfied, who were unhappy. It was unbelievable. And then you look around and you see and you wonder. Look at these people sitting here. I couldn't sleep. God, I don't care. Listen, I don't care what may ever happen to my father. Oh, I don't care. He will never. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I had to spend my last dime for home health aid. I would not. My father would not be in there, and I wondered. Oh, I had to wonder. Because as I looked at him and I had to do the addition of our friendship, the addition and the subtraction, I had to do the math of our friendship, and I realized that there was not enough good that he put into our friendship to have me sit there. To have me sit there and be abused. Now my daddy, oh, I tell you, my father took care of us. And for those of you with parents, you know exactly what I mean. And somebody would have to be very horrible. Somebody would have to be very horrible to you for you to take them and drop them off in a place and not look back. And I thought about what would it take for me to have to feed this man. And I looked at him and I'm like, this is not my father. We are not even friends. And I realized that this is the situation that he put himself. Listen, He put himself in. And I remember, listen, one Thanksgiving, and you guys know that my mother passed away around the time of Thanksgiving, so I was alone. I had nobody, and I spoke to him on the phone. And he was on his way out to a Thanksgiving dinner because he had a big group of friends of whom he could eat, drink, and be merry. So much so that he didn't want to invite me, this young little black girl, along with him to his party of friends. Listen to what I'm saying. I wasn't good enough to come around his group of friends in which he would hobnob and rub elbows and teetotal with. I wasn't good enough to be amongst them, but when I looked around, I didn't see them. I didn't see the people that he was partying with, all his salsa dancers and all those people who were twirling around, living it up with him. I didn't see those people. And remember, I told you he's not that old. When we met, he was ballroom dancing, going for these jogs and walks every day. He was mentally alert. And in 2 years, how long have I been in this location? I've been in this location 1.5 years. And I saw him last year. So within 1 year, the script had been flipped. Listen to what I'm saying. And I want to ask all of you out there. Let me ask you, all of the people that you're going out, hanging out with and living it up with, are those your real people? Are those people going to be the same people to look for you when times are tough? When the money runs low or the drinks run few? Will those be the people who bring a bottle or be like, hey, you ain't got nothing to give, so I'm not here. I'm not going to be around unless there's something for me to take. Where will those people be? The ones who laugh with you? Will those be the same people who cry with you? And I looked around on a Sunday when people don't have to work, and there was no one there. The whole time that I spent the whole afternoon there with him, from 1 in the afternoon until almost 7, 8 o'clock at night, and no one came to visit. No one called. Nothing. They're alone on a Sunday. They said no one had been there on the Saturday or the Friday or the Thursday. Someone dropped him off there on a Wednesday. And I had to look around and I thought about my life. I thought about who would be there for me. I don't have children yet, but the things that we do to our children, the things that we invest in the relationships around us, and the types of relationships that we invest in, are those going to be relationships that are parasitic, that just leech off of us, filling up their bulb? And then when it's time to pick up the fruit in which we have invested, will those fruit be dry? Will they be withered or fallen and rolled off the tree onto someplace else where there's greener pastures, where there are people who are well? And I thought about us as human beings, and I want you to think about yourself and what you're doing with this temple. This temple that God gave us. And I thought about my detox. And I thought about how we live. Because to us, oh, life is long, I guess we think. Life is long to us, so we spend our time abusing the selves that we have, going out on the weekends, drinking and intoxicating ourselves, filling ourselves with drugs, stimulants, irritants, food coloring, dyes, fried foods, foods that are nutritionally devoid. Let me tell you something about our cells, our living cells. These cells on the inside need nutrients to rebuild themselves. What will you do when your mind disconnects from your body because you didn't take the time, you didn't invest the time in taking care of the bodies that you have? And I thought about the amount of time that we really have. Think about how much youth we have, and I think about my own fleeting youth. I remember I had my 20s. That was 1 decade there. And now I have my 30s. This is 1 decade. And my next decade is going to be the 40s. I can't consider myself a little girl in my 40s. When do we make a change with what it is that we are doing with ourselves, with the people that we're surrounding ourselves with? And I had to make a vow that I would eat well, that I would not overconsume in alcohol, very, very little. I would not abuse this one temple that I have, because when this temple deteriorates, what will I have? Who will I be when my mind detaches from my body? What will you have? Do we have our insurance in place? I don't know how he can afford this place. I don't know what type of insurance he has, but he must have some really good insurance, because this place was beautiful. The lawn and the land was beautiful. It had acreage. It was wonderful. And I'm telling you, is your insurance plan in place in case of sickness, injury, or long-term care? If something happened to you, what would happen to you? And I wonder, I just wonder, and that's the bulk of my video, because my mind couldn't rest. I can't think of the word. I was so sad when I left there, because we only have but a certain amount of time, and we have to do everything in our power while and he was complaining. He was apologizing at first. He's like, oh, sorry, it's so hard for you to push this wheelchair. And I was like, I push it because I'm strong, and I push it because I'm young, and I have the strength to push it now, because there'll be a day where I may not be able to push my own. And I ask you all, I ask you, what are you doing now? Not only with yourself. And I wonder, God, oh, you know what? It is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and my heart broke for him. But only so much. Because you know what? And I got into a really, really bad argument. I got into a bad argument, not really, really bad, because really, really bad is when stuff starts to break. But I got into a bad argument this weekend with a relative through marriage. And this person was unnecessarily nasty and just unnecessarily just horrid, right? And I was thinking that I didn't get my, you know how you get into an argument and you want to get yours off on them? You want to say what you got to say to them and get it off and hurt them with your words. And after I saw this man, I said, no, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about this person, because everybody gets their just desserts. Everyone gets their just desserts. And I wonder, what are you putting out into the world that's going to come back around to you? What are you putting out there? Who are you congregating with? How are you treating yourself? Are you abusing your body? I'm going to take care of myself, drinking lots of clean, fresh water, exercising. These fats holds toxins in. Alcohol and the stuff that we eat and all these impure foods and all this stuff is a burden on our liver and our cells. We got to put good live things, because if everything that you eat is dead, soon you will be too. How much nutrients are you going to gain from a muffin? How are you going to rebuild your cells from pancake batter? How are you going to rebuild your cells from leached with all the nutrients and everything leached and bleached out of your food? How will you rebuild from that? Get yourself lots of fruits and vegetables, not so, don't fill up on the sweet fruits and all of that. Exercise and take care of this body that you have. Meditate and pray and treat people as well as you can. You don't have to worry about giving nobody their just desserts here on earth. Oh, everybody gets what's coming to them. What will be coming to you? And I can only imagine, and I know that my father, he was good to us. Some of you out there, I don't know, some of these parents out there, not good to them. And when you have to look back on, oh, will I feed my parent? Did my parent feed me? Here we go. Listen, I'm going to get out of here. As promised, I'll tell you guys about how I achieved my look. I need to calm down. Number one, this is a scarf that I got in Egypt. It's just it's a simple scarf with fringes on the end. And I'll show you how I wrap that. I got this I got this at a fabric store, the string. At a fabric store you can find string, and they have crystals, they have Swarovski crystals, and I took just some fabric glue, glued it in the front of a sequined, see those are sequined strings, and then I put some Velcro on the back. I'll show you right here. People say they love this, right? This is just some simple Velcro that I put on the back. I feel naked without my thing on me. Let me put it back around my head. I put just some Velcro on the back there, and I made it. You know, find a way or make one. It doesn't really matter what it is. What it matters is what it looks like. And this was something that I wanted. And I did them for the expo, and it felt so great when I did them because, we were dressed as goddesses for the expo. And now I wear it, and I get so many compliments, and I wear it because I feel that I'm a goddess. And this is a scarf simply over my head. And I'm not sure. Oh, my shirt. I got this shirt in the Middle East. There's some embroidery and some sequins on that. I'm not exactly sure which country I got this in, but it might have been Sharjah. But some of you may feel that this look is familiar to something that you've seen. It's kind of familiar to me too, but I'm not sure if it's Indian or kind of Muslim. I'm not sure. But I think I've seen that look somewhere before, but it feels comfortable. And I just threw these over my shoulder. This white is not typically a color for women in the Middle East. They typically wear black because it's more modest. And I'm covering, but like when I was in the Middle East, I didn't have a problem covering. It actually creates a great amount of imagination for women, different ways in which you as a woman can attract, the opposite sex without being able to show that hourglass, without being able to show the cleavage, without being able to show arms or legs or high heels and all of that. What do you do when you can have to cover all of that? But that's neither here nor there. I would love to hear from you guys. You know what? I'm curious out there. I'm curious. How many of you would put your parent in an old folks home or nursing home? How many of you would do that? How many of you would not? And tell me why. I'd love to hear that. If anybody would like to do a video response, I'd be more than happy to attach it to this video. Maybe you could get some new viewers and subscribers that way as well. Speaking of which, subscribe to my videos here on YouTube. Click the subscribe button is somewhere around here. You can stay up with me off of YouTube. Underneath, I'll put all of my links. Facebook.com/TonyaTko show. Twitter.com/TonyaTko. And then on Instagram, it's at TonyaTko. You can come to my website, TonyaTko.com, and stay up with me there. How many of you would feed and take care of your parent when the time comes? How many of you would turn your back on them, and why? Were your parents abusive to you so that if anything happened to them, they better hope it doesn't. They better hope they keep their mental faculties, otherwise you might be the one abusing them. I don't know. But I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about that, because it goes around, comes around. Hug me. And you guys said you hug me. When I hug, you hug. Just like that. Hug me. Oh, I love you guys. Hug, 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 hug. I love you guys very much. Go out there and love one another. But most importantly, love yourself. And I'm definitely going to try to do more videos because I do have a lot that stays on my heart and mind. You guys said you don't mind the long videos, so here you go. 40 minutes for you. Go ahead and paint your nails, do your toes, and all of that. And we're going to be doing some walking vlogs soon. It's about that time for me to take my yearly excursion, so I will be out of town, and I'll show you guys where I'm visiting this year, which will be Martha's Vineyard. So stay up with me on that, and make sure you subscribe to some of my other channels. Like TonyaTko Skin, TonyaTko Fitness, and I will be updating and posting around there. And of course, come look for the video on how I got rid, or am getting rid of, my dark circles. Do you see any more? I still have a little blemish right here, but it kind of looks like a mole, so I'm just going to pretend like that's a beauty mark. TonyaTko, and I'm out. Peace. Hey, whoops, I forgot to add, and I remember I said I was going to mention this at the end of the video, the race factor of it and why security was very lax around me. And I'm going to say this. I feel sorry for any racist person who gets put into a nursing home. Um, I, the, yeah, because 95% of the nurses were black. They were mainly black. They were Caribbean American and Black American. Mainly all of them were black. One woman was Indian, and there were no Caucasians. This was at a Jewish nursing home. And I feel sorry for anybody who has a problem with people of other races. Or I feel sorry, let me just outright, I feel sorry for any racist white person who gets put into a nursing home here in America, because 9 times out of 10 the person who's going to be caring for them is going to be a person of color. Can I say 10 out of 10? I really don't know. But from when I was there yesterday, and the reason why they were asking me if I was a companion is because there are these people who get hired to sit with old folk. And I was asking this girl about it because she was telling me, oh, she thought and then it all came full circle when I was there trying to, get him to eat. And basically insurance companies or families or whomever, they hire people to come and sit with the elderly, talk to them, keep them company, look after them, get anything that they need, go fetch things for them, etc. And they get paid anywhere from $8 to $12 an hour. So if there are any of you out there who are really kind and you like elderly people or the infirmed, etc., you can actually look into getting a job as they were called companions, elderly companions, etc. And so they thought I was a companion because here I am, a young African American woman, or Afro-Caribbean American, it's all in there. Here I am, an Afro-Caribbean American woman. Here I am, a black woman, okay? It's too much. It's too much. Here I am, a black woman coming to visit, this older white man inside the home. And it seemed very unlikely for us, I guess, to be friends or whatever. So people thought I was working. They thought I worked there. They thought I was. And it's just, I don't know. Just the whole irony of it all. The whole irony of it all. And on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go about your days. I love you guys. You want another hug? I love you guys very much. Listen, do whatever you gotta do to make sure that you're taken care of when you're older. Maybe some of you with one children, maybe you want to have some more children. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know what I mean? Some of you who don't know your children, get to know them. Be nice to your children. Be nice to your nieces and nephews, because he has nieces and nephews and even they weren't there. So something. Make friends, lots of different friends, I guess of different ages, because maybe, and another thing I thought about, maybe some of his friends or most of his friends were dead. I don't know, but he was living it up, partying, dancing, and going out to these parties with his friends that I couldn't go hang with. He had all those snooty people from his boating club. He took me down there one day to his yacht club to cause a big stir. Him with this, I had my long weave at the time. Him with this, voluptuous African-American woman coming to the yacht club. Oh, those people. You should have seen it. You should have seen it. I mean, some of them older men, they was staring me down, and those women were like, oh, just trash doing in here, and some of the people were really nice, but like the yachting club, and they were just really bunch of old, stuffy, Caucasian male founder pictures on the wall and nothing but white people in the club, and they were like, ugh. And he wouldn't let me walk around by myself, so he was like always with me. And like some of the people were just like who is this, what is this, what is happening, oh, we're being infiltrated. Okay, listen. Now I'm really out of here. I'm really out of here. They weren't looking at me funny though. It was not my imagination. It was like, you ever walk into a room and you're like, you could literally, the ear gets real thick, like the needle on the record, just like, and everyone was like, It was, cause you know what, it was an old boys club. People were sitting drinking their brandy. Oh, now I really must go. Drinking their brandy with their cigars, and they turned to look at me, and everybody had their big yachts out there. Hold on, let me grab this real quick. TKO Skin, this is Tonya. Hi, if you wouldn't mind holding for just one moment, I'm finishing up a video. Just a moment, okay? Just a moment. Okay. So listen, I really have to get out of here. I got to take that call. But hug. Love you guys. And if you all could please tell me, this look is inspired by what? Is it Middle East? Is it Indian? Muslim? Hindu? Tell me. I'm curious. I know that there are red dots that are worn. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, and in bindis. You know what? Tell me more. Let me grab the call. I'll talk to you guys. TonyaTko and I'm out. Links are below. Subscribe.